Hello, Rama Pupodu. I hope all are in great health, feeling great, having a wonderful and happy life. Now let's continue with devotee Major Chadwick. Bhagavan once openly talked about how Chadwick was amongst us previously. However, he had a great desire to be born in the West, so he was born as Chadwick and had now come back to us. When Chadwick told me this, I was not so very happy because Bhagavan never talked about reincarnation or previous births. Chadwick then pointed out the true importance of Bhagavan's statement is not to have any desires. That is the important thing, and not whether I had a previous birth or am reincarnated. This is an indication for us seekers never to have or develop desires. The one thing that we should always meditate on is the I am, the awareness within us. The chief contribution that Chadwick made is getting Bhagavan to declare that he is the Guru. Bhagavan never accepted the duality of Guru and discipline. He never announced that he is the Guru and others are disciples. But at a particular stage, Chadwick had a problem with this. You never declare that you are the Guru, but you also say that a disciple cannot get liberation without a Guru. So, where do I stand, Bhagavan? Am I to go in search of a Guru? Bhagavan tried to tell him that there was only the self and there cannot be a separate Guru. A true Guru cannot declare himself to be a Guru as distinguished from the disciple. He was trying to say that there is only one self in everyone, but Chadwick was not happy with the answer. Noticing this, Bhagavan turned to the others. Chadwick is not satisfied with what I have said. Ask the sub-registrar to bring a legal document that declares this, and ask the office to send their seal so that I can stamp it and then give it to him. This is how Chadwick got Bhagavan to admit that he is indeed a guru. Chadwick shared with me that a few days before Bhagavan was to drop the body, he went inside Bhagavan's Nirvana room and wept bitterly, saying, Bhagavan, you are leaving. There also Bhagavan revealed that he indeed is the Guru. True his reply. The prime duty of a Guru is to establish the certainty of his existence in the hearts of his disciples, and having done that, he is free to leave. He had already implanted the truth in Chadwick and the others, and that was why he was dropping his body. Once I asked Chadwick, are you realized? I have put this question to all of the old devotees like Muruganar, Cohen, Osborne, Sadhu, Nathananda, Devaraja Mudaliar, and others. None of them either said yes or no. All smiled. When I asked him whether he was realized, he did not say yes or no. Instead, he told me, I will tell you what happened. After many years of my stay with Bhagavan, 4 or 5 years, I committed the mistake of trying to evaluate how much I have progressed spiritually. This is a thing any seeker should not do. I felt that I have not progressed. Many who saw me in Ramana Ashramam looked at me like I was a sage or a saint, saying, Oh, he is so fortunate. He is so close to Bhagavan. He meditates so much. He is already in that state. This created a contradiction in me as I personally felt that I was not progressing spiritually. However, having left the material life, I could not go back to a worldly life either. I felt caught between the devil and the deep sea. I was sorrow stricken. I ran to Bhagavan's hall. He was alone. I told him, Bhagavan, this is my plight. I am neither here nor there, and this causes much sorrow in me. Bhagavan looked at me compassionately and said, Chadwick, who says all this? Immediately there was a current like shock in my body, and I literally ran to my room, shut the doors, and went into a neutral state. I was not bothered whether I was spiritually maturing or whether I would be able to stay in the world. I was in a neutral state of silence. A few days passed like that, wherein I was neither happy nor worried. The only luxury that Chadwick allowed himself was taking his bath in a bathtub which he had in the veranda of his cottage. One day, shortly after the above incident, something happened unexpectedly. As Chadwick told me later, I was taking my bath, and very honestly, Ganesan, I was not in a spiritual state or in a prayerful mood when it suddenly dawned the I am. He experienced it not just as words. He was so ecstatic that he did not even dry himself. He just wrapped a towel around his waist and ran to the old hall from where a few days back he had run away. Fortunately, this time too, Bhagwan was alone. In this spiritual ecstasy of experiencing the I am, where there was no Chadwick, just the I am, he asked Bhagavan, Bhagwan, is this it? Chadwick recounted. Bhagavan gave me the most glorious smile and then confirmed, Yes, Chadwick, this is that. I then asked him, Bhagavan, is it so simple? Bhagavan replied, Yes, it is that simple. Since then, I never had any doubt. Once, Chadwick advised me, Ganesan, do not try to gather more knowledge because finally, knowledge itself will become a great hindrance to self realization. When I made an effort to learn Tamil and sought Bhagavan's permission for it, his response was revealing. He said, Why do you want to acquire one more dead weight? All knowledge will have to be finally given up to experience the truth. You have to plunge within to experience the truth. Through the relentless practice of the inquiry, who am I? The key to self realization is practice, practice, and practice only. I took that opportunity to seek one more clarification from him as to why Westerners were drawn more to Bhagavan's teaching. Chadwick's reply was significant. Bhagavan's message certainly is much appreciated in the West. His purely rational arguments and the lack of sentiment in his teachings have great appeal. He never preached or laid down the law. Instead, he always concentrated on turning the seeker back into himself and pointing out to him that it was entirely up to him, since the Guru could only indicate the way and guide him, for no one can give self realization to another. When Bhagwan's will was drawn and executed, Chadwick fully supported it. He was there on that day when Bhagwan drew a line in lieu of his signature in the presence of a High Court judge and a court official. Later on, when some people started contesting it, Chadwick went to every relevant government office, testified that he was there when Bhagwan executed his will, that the management of the ashram was left to the family. According to Chadwick, instead of any Tom, Dick, and Harry, if the family was made the managers, whatever happens, they will not leave the ashram. Bhagwan's choice is the best choice. When my grandfather Niranjananda Swami passed away, my father Venkatu became the manager as he was the next in the hierarchy. From 1956 to 1958, I was staying in Tiruvannamalai and trying to get a job. Finding no success, I was very sad. On one such day, Chadwick called me to his room. When I went there, he said, Ganesan, during Bhagavan's lifetime itself, Osborne, Cohen, Munangala, Venkataramaya, and I were four people who were very much interested in astrology. Monangala Venkataramaya and I believed in Hindu astrology, whereas Cohen believed in Western astrology. Osborne trusted I Ching, the ancient Chinese science of divination. We knew that, according to the will, the next president will be the eldest son of Venkatu, your elder brother Sundaram. But among the three grand nephews of Bhagavan, who will be the one that spreads his spiritual teachings? This was our question. Each of us consulted our preferred divination method. All of us arrived at the same conclusion. You are going to be the one, Ganesan, to spread and pass on the teaching. He said this in 1957 when I had no inclination to take to spiritual life or stay on in Ramana Ashramam. Chadwick told me, "Why do you want to go seeking a job when your place is here? Stay here." But I did not stay and went away, only to come back in 1960. Chadwick was a pillar of strength for me. When I came back to the ashram and started helping with its management, whatever problem I had, whether financial or legal, Chadwick stood like a rock behind me. Once it happened that my father was away. The year was 1961. I had been in the ashram for 1 year, and in the absence of my father, I had to take up the responsibility of taking decisions and making arrangements. The annual 10-day Kartigai festival of the Arunachaleshwara temple was on. The climax of the festival was the lighting of the Kartigai Deepam, a huge flame, on the summit of the holy Arunachala. During Bhagavan's lifetime, Bhagavan would be seated outside the hall from where the Deepam could be seen. The moment the Deepam was lit on the hill, a lamp of ghee would be lit in front of Bhagavan. After Bhagavan dropped the body, it was the ashram practice to keep a picture of Bhagavan and light the ghee lamp in front of it as soon as the Deepam on the hill was lit, a tradition that continues to this day. That day in 1961, it started raining heavily. I was agitated because we could not keep the picture and the lamp outside as it was traditionally done. Seeing this, Chadwick came to me and said, "Ganesan, do not be agitated. We can take the picture inside the dining hall and light the lamp there." I expressed my concern. Though Bhagavan was never interested in rituals, he was very particular on witnessing the Kartiga Deepam. How can I deviate from the ashram tradition? My father is not here and I do not want to do something that breaks the tradition. He reassured me. During Bhagavan's lifetime, it rained 1 year just like this. Since he was keen on seeing the Deepam, Bhagavan suggested that we go into the dining hall and open the big door through which one could see the hill summit. I was next to Bhagavan. I told him, "Bhagavan, we will not be able to see the Deepam because it is raining heavily." Bhagavan took his binoculars and looking through it exhorted, "Watch, watch," and at the moment the Deepam was lit on the hill. "See the miracle, Ganesan." I was watching eagerly. The rain stopped, the clouds dispersed for a few minutes, and we got a glimpse of the Deepam as it was lit. Immediately, Bhagavan said, "Now light the ghee lamp." The Deepam had been lit. We too will follow suit. I was a little skeptical because it was pouring. I, anyhow, followed Chadwick's advice. Chadwick sat next to me and eagerly said, "Watch, watch," and exactly the same thing happened. At the time of lighting the Deepam on the hill, the rain stopped and the clouds dispersed, and we lit the ghee lamp in front of Bhagavan's picture inside the dining hall just before the clouds gathered again and hid the Deepam from our view. Due to financial problems, some of the activities of the ashram had to be stopped after Bhagavan dropped the body. The Veda Padasala, the school that taught the Vedas, which was started in 1938 in Ramana Ashramam, had to be closed down. The puja, ritual worship, was not being done properly. Then Chadwick took it upon himself. He restarted the Veda Padasala with the help of my teacher, T.K. Sundaresa Iyer, and regulated the daily worship in the shrines of Bhagavan and the Mother. It was he who started the regular performance of the Sri Chakra Puja in the Mother's shrine, a fully surrendered devotee staying like an anchor in Ramana Ashramam. His very staying helped the teaching to be spread. People like Somerset Maugham, Spaulding, and many other famous people who came all talked to Chadwick, and Chadwick convinced them of the greatness of Bhagavan. He was also instrumental in spreading Bhagavan's teaching in a more solid way by correcting talks with the Maharishi and day by day with Bhagavan. All the conversations that we now read in these books were corrected by Chadwick. When Talks with Maharishi was to be printed, there was a committee who took the manuscripts to Madras, and some scholar or the other struck out many pages saying these were repetitions. It was brought to the ashram before sending it to press. I was in the office at that time, and it was given to Chadwick for his approval. He came back after going through it with his whole face red with anger. Who had struck out all this? My master's words. How do you know? Why do you use mere intellectual knowledge and see the repetition? The repetition is absolutely essential. This is what he writes in his introduction. The repetition is meaningful. Not a single word had to be taken off because every word had been seen by Bhagavan and approved by Bhagavan. What we read now is all thanks to Chadwick. Otherwise, we would have lost a major portion of the talks with the Maharishi, day by day with Bhagavan, and other talks with Bhagavan. In this way, Major Chadwick had a major role in communicating the message. That's all, folks. Let's continue in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puput.